Cloud Nothings are an indie rock band from Cleveland, Ohio, in the USA. They were formed in 2009 as a solo project by their frontman Dylan Baldy. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And then turned into a band. They have released 8 studio albums so far. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of the album Here and Nowhere Else by Cloud Nothings, which was their 3rd album. And it's my first encounter with them as a band, so I haven't heard this album before. I had to read up on them and find out about them. What I normally do is I do a blind read and then, a blind listen and then a read up and then a more informed listen, which is exactly what I did in this occasion. So I am going to upset some people, I think, here because I wasn't particularly impressed by this album. But I feel like it's the sort of thing that there will be people out there who think that this is just amazing. And maybe I can kind of see why, but maybe I can't. And if I'm missing the point, then you know why it's brilliant. Please do let me know by leaving me a comment. So I'm going to describe this as being somewhere on a spectrum between hardcore punk and indie rock, and I'm going to say it's got elements of both. So it's got a big guitar sound. It's got what I call a guitar curtain, which is basically the soundscape is filled with rhythm guitar stuff, often quite held on long chords, which basically takes away all the gaps in the sound. And it's not a sound that I like that particularly, but it's very common in indie rock. This then goes along with some frantic drumming and some crunchy bass. The drumming, I think, I would say, has quite an emphasis on the toms, which is a particular style that, yeah, maybe that kind of suits this quite well. It's got this kind of heaviness and franticness that I think is where the punk idea comes from, but it's also got this kind of guitar sound and feel, which is where I think the indie rock element comes from. And I would say, I hesitate to use the word pop, but it's got a kind of immediacy. Not that it's kind of tinkly and shiny at all, but it does have this kind of accessibility, possibly, that could be described as being a poppy way of going about it. It's not a great word, to be honest, for it, though. The singing is okay. At times, it turns into more kind of metallic growling, which, to be honest, I found that slightly more interesting when it did that. I couldn't make out the words, and didn't impinge on me at all. So everything also sounds slightly distant. It feels muted somehow. It's kind of got a mushiness to it. So I found it helped a bit to turn it up. Both times when I started listening to it, I thought, this is quiet. And I don't know if I just was listening to a version that's quieted down, but I don't think so. I think it just needs turning up for anything to stand out at all. But even then, things really don't stand out that much. It's kind of got low fidelity in the sense that high fidelity meant you could hear the separation of instruments. Low fidelity means you can't. I felt like it was all this kind of feel. It's got energy, but it's much like a frantic pig trying to escape from a sack. I've got that image in my head now. So musically, I was not bothered. Lyrically, I don't really have any clue because I didn't pick up on the words. Production-wise, really quite strongly put me off, I think. I say quite strongly, I've heard worse, but this is down here as one that I'd rather not listen to again. I wouldn't ask somebody to take it off if it was their pride and joy, but I'm not a huge fan. So I'd love to know what you think, though, especially if you are a huge fan. Please tell me what I'm missing here. And that's it from me for now.